Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. Today I'm going to discuss the latest rumors on which cities the NHL will choose for their hubs. I'm going to go over the soccer results from yesterday, look ahead to today's games, look back on this morning's KBO results, look ahead to tomorrow morning's games. I'll give out my pick for the Rocket Mortgage event for golf, and I'll do my 2013 top 10 MLB players and games. We'll start with the NHL. The hot rumor is that two cities have emerged as frontrunners to be the hub cities for the restart of the NHL season. Toronto and Edmonton have emerged as favorites if the season resumes, as the NHL is focusing on Canada. I think it's smart. I just hope that the league has some detail on when the Canada-US borders can reopen, because as far as I'm concerned, they delayed or extended the border closage between the two countries. But it's not a bad idea per se. But then again, you're hearing rumors that they're going to let the Blue Jays play their season in their home stadium. So I guess that is a good sign that the NHL is getting permission to go to Canada, which isn't bad. You heard rumors about Vegas. You heard rumors about St. Louis. You heard rumors about Pittsburgh. You heard rumors about some other possible hub spots, Columbus, Ohio. But I guess the cases are going down in Canada, and they chose two big cities. For the East, it'd be Toronto, and for the West, it'd be Edmonton. And it'd be interesting to see where they would have the Stanley Cup final, assuming they make it that far. And maybe they have, Toronto have some home games, and then Edmonton have some the home games as well for the Western Conference and Eastern Conference teams, respectively. So it looks like that those are going to be the two cities chosen for the NHL return. You're already hearing rumors that July 30th is their planned return date, which is the same as the NBA. So that'd be pretty neat. And then the week after Major League Baseball, as they're coming back July 23rd, as we discussed on the show the other day, with their proposed opening day of Yankees-Nationals from Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. And if any other news related to hockey hub cities emerges, you'll hear it right here on the podcast. Now I'm going to recap yesterday's Premier League and La Liga games and look ahead to the games today. We'll start with La Liga. A couple of interesting results from yesterday. Mallorca over Celta Vigo 5-1, as Mallorca improves to 8-5-20, and Celta Vigo drops to 7-13-13. Sevilla over Leganes 3-0. Sevilla, you knew was going to win that game. They're 15-12-6. And Leganes drops to 5-10-18. Barcelona and Atletico Madrid ended in a 2-2 draw yesterday. So Barcelona sits at 21-7-5, and Atletico Madrid sits at 15-14-4. And the matchups for today, at 1:30, you have Alaves hosting Granada. Neither of these teams, to me, are all that great. Granada's just a little bit better, and I think that they'll come away with the win today on the road. And then you have Valencia and the Athletic Club. Both of these teams are okay. They're not terrible. Athletic Club's a better defensive team. Valencia's a better goal-scoring team, but gives up a lot of goals. I'm going to go with Athletic Club here. why not go with the what I would consider a little bit of an upset here? So I'll go with the Athletic Club on the road against Valencia. 4 o'clock today, you have Valladolid and Levante. Neither of these teams are very good. Levante is better at goal scoring, but gives up more goals. So, you know what? I'm going to go with the draw here between Valladolid and Levante. And then Real Betis and Villarreal is also at 4 o'clock Eastern today. Villarreal is in a good spot right now in 6th place in La Liga. Real Betis, not so much. They're in 13th. I'm going to go with Villarreal here. They're the better team. So I'm going to go with 3 road teams in Villarreal, the Athletic Club, and Granada. And I'm going to go with the draw between Valladolid and Levante. Now I'm going to go over the Premier League result from yesterday and preview a little bit the games today. Manchester United defeated Brighton 3-0. Man United is just better. They're 14-10-8 now, and Brighton drops to 7-12-13. A couple games underway. They all started at 1 o'clock. You have Bournemouth and Newcastle. I think Newcastle is the better team. They should be able to win this game. They're up 1-0 as we speak. Everton and Leicester City. Leicester City is a better team than Everton, but Everton has a 1-0 lead right now at home. I think Leicester City is just better. So I'm going to go with them to win. I think they come from behind and get the win, although it won't be easy. And then Arsenal and Norwich City is in the 10th minute in a 0-0 tie as of right now. My pick to win this game is obviously Arsenal. They're home. They're the way better team than Norwich City. So I expect them to come out and win by multiple goals. 3:15 West Ham and Chelsea. I'm going to go with Chelsea to back up their big win over Manchester City with another win here. And I think they're going to win by multiple goals. They're just flat out better than West Ham, although West Ham's home. But West Ham is also one of the worst teams in the Premier League. So give me Chelsea today at home on the road against West Ham. So that's a 3:15 Eastern time start. Now I'm going to go over the KBO games from this morning and look ahead to the games tomorrow. You got the Wiz over the Twins 11-5. The Bears over the Heroes 14-5. The Lions over the Wyverns 7-1. By the way, the Lions are playing great baseball. I've been saying it lately that they're the most improved team in the KBO over the last month or so. And then the Dinos over the Giants 6-2, and then the Tigers over the Eagles 3-4. Tomorrow, all 5:30 a.m. Eastern time, which would be 6:30 in Korea in the afternoon, evening. You have the Lions hosting the Wyverns again. You have the Bears at the Heroes, the Eagles at the Tigers, the Giants at the Dinos, and the Wiz at the Twins. I think the Lions are going to keep on going. They are red hot, and they're playing very well right now. And they are in 6th place as of right now in the standings. But they're playing better than a 6th place team right now. So give me Samsung. I'm going to keep riding the machine, the hot machine. And then you have the Bears and the Heroes. Both of these teams are very good. That's a really good matchup. I'm going to go with the Heroes at home. And then you have the Tigers hosting the Eagles. The Tigers should be able to win that game. They're just better. And then the Giants at the Dinos. I'm going to say the Giants bounce back and get the win here. The Giants have been playing a little bit better lately after that slump for a while. I know the Dinos are the best team in the KBO, but they've also been struggling for them lately. So I'm going to go with the Giants on the road. And then the Twins host the Wiz. I'm going to go with the Twins at home over the Wiz. And a quick look at the standings, as I like to do every other show. The Dinos are 33-15. The Heroes are 31-19. 3 back of the Dinos, 4 back in the loss column. The Bears are 29-20. They are a game back in the loss column of the Heroes. A game and a half back of the Heroes and 4.5 back of the Dinos. The Twins are 28-21. They are a game back of the Bears. The Tigers are 25-21. They are a game and a half back of the Twins, tied in the loss column. The Lions are 26-24. They are a game back of the Tigers, although 3 back in the loss column. They have 1 more win than the Tigers. Latte is 23-24. They're tied in the loss column with the Lions, a game and a half back of the Lions, though. The Wiz are 22-27. They are 2 back of the Giants, 3 back in the loss column. The Wyverns are 14-35. They are 8 back of the Wiz, and Hanwha is 12-37. They are 2 back of the Wyverns. And now I'm going to give out my pick for the Rocket Mortgage Championship in the PGA Tour. Some big names are sitting this one out. No Rory McIlroy, no Brooks Koepka again. The huge favorite is Bryson DeChambeau. He is a ridiculous plus 650. Bryson DeChambeau is playing very good right now. So many people think he's the best golfer in the world. I still think that's Rory McIlroy until Bryson DeChambeau wins a couple of these tournaments. As good as Bryson DeChambeau has been, but he shouldn't be that big of a favorite in a loaded field. My pick to win the Rocket Mortgage is going to be Patrick Reed. He's 16-1. I think he had some moments last week in the Travelers and then as well as in the RBC Heritage. So I'm going to go with Patrick Reed at 16-1 to win this. Although Kevin Na was an intriguing option at 40-1, but I decided to pass. And I'm just getting Patrick Reed vibes. And I want to keep these good vibes going because obviously I hit with Dustin Johnson last week. So I just want to keep on going in terms of hitting these golf outrights. Now I'm going to do my 2013 top 10 players for MLB. A lot of honorable mentions to get to first. Yu Darvish, Texas Rangers. He was in his 2nd year in the league, I believe. David Ortiz, Boston Red Sox. You could argue should have been in the top 10. He was on the on the team that wound up winning the World Series. Adrian Beltre, Texas Rangers. Evan Longoria, Tampa Bay Rays. Dustin Pedroia, Boston Red Sox. Joey Votto, Cincinnati Reds. Adam Wainwright, St. Louis Cardinals. Matt Carpenter, St. Louis Cardinals. That was his 2nd year in the league, which is nuts. And Robinson Cano, New York Yankees. Cano, you could argue, should have been in the top 10, but the Yankees did not make the postseason that year, and that team was a bad 85-win team. So that was the case against Cano being on the top 10 list. And here's the top 10 list. 10, Freddie Freeman, Atlanta Braves. The Braves won the division that year. He was their best player, and he was really coming into his own, into the player he is today. 9, Yadier Molina, St. Louis Cardinals. He was in the midst of his prime, probably their best offensive player at that point. Was on the team that wound up representing the National League in the World Series. 8th, Paul Goldschmidt, Arizona Diamondbacks. This was his coming out party. People are starting to realize what a great player Paul Goldschmidt is, or you could argue at that point was at the time. 7th, Josh Donaldson, Oakland Athletics. This was his breakout season by many accounts. He was the best position player on the Athletics and really made a name for himself that season. 6th, Max Scherzer, Detroit Tigers. He won the Cy Young that year, and he beat his teammate, Justin Verlander, who many believed to be the best pitcher in the game at the time. 5, Chris Davis, Baltimore Orioles. This was his best season. This was the year he had over 50 home runs, and then it turned out he was doing steroids, so maybe he doesn't belong on the list. And that's another case against Robinson Cano being on the list as well. But Chris Davis was just outstanding that season, and that was his breakthrough year. 4, Clayton Kershaw, Los Angeles Dodgers. Despite playoff failures, Clayton Kershaw was outstanding in the regular season, won the Cy Young Award, and helped lead the Dodgers to the division title, which that streak is still alive, by the way. 3, Andrew McCutchen, Pittsburgh Pirates. This was McCutchen's beginning of his prime. He helped lead the Pirates to the National League wildcard game, and he won the NL MVP that year as well. 2, Mike Trout, Los Angeles Angels. Many people think that he should have won MVP over Miguel Cabrera. I am not one of those people. I think Miguel Cabrera was better that year because, if I'm not mistaken, he won the Triple Crown in 2013. Or that could have been 2012. But the other case is that Mike Trout didn't make the playoffs that year. Miguel Cabrera was on arguably the best team in the American League that year in the Tigers, meaning best team on paper. But that Red Sox team, just for whatever reason, just gelled very well. They had a lot of guys overachieve that year, and they wound up upsetting the Tigers in the NL or the ALCS and wound up going to the World Series. And Miggy's obviously my number one player of 2013, was the AL MVP. This was probably right smack in the middle in his prime, and I don't remember if this was the Triple Crown year or not, but he was just flat out awesome that year, and I think people have forgotten about Miguel Cabrera just a little bit. And now I'm going to do my top 10 games of 2013. No honorable mentions. Number 10, Yankees, Red Sox. This was a Sunday night baseball game in July. 11 innings, 8-7 Red Sox win on a walk-off home run by Mike Napoli. At the time, the Yankees were not very good, but they were always competitive in a lot of these games against their rivals and really against good teams in general. So, Mike Napoli, one of the magical seasons that the Red Sox got out of that group of role players that helped them go to the World Series. 9, Rockies Giants, 6-5 San Francisco Giants walk-off inside the park home run by Angel Pagan in the bottom of the 10th inning. 8th, Angels Athletics, 10-8 Athletics win in 19 innings on a walk-off home run by Brandon Moss. 7th, Braves Dodgers, Game 4. 4-3 Dodgers win. That was their clinching game. Carl Crawford had 2 home runs in the beginning of the game, and then the Braves came from behind, took the lead, and then Juan Uribe hit a huge 2-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning to give the Dodgers lead. Kenley Jansen comes out and closes it, and the Dodgers go to the NLCS. 6th, Red Sox Cardinals, Game 4. 4-2 Red Sox win. This was the game where Carlos Beltran was at the plate with 2 men on and 2 out. The fans in the building were probably expecting a walk-off home run, but at the time, rookie second baseman Colton Wong gets picked off at first base, and that's how that game ended. And I think that was a huge turning point in that series. And you could argue the Cardinals would have probably won the World Series had Colton Wong not got picked off, because Carlos Beltran was having a great playoffs. and he was always known to be a good playoff performer. And maybe he hits a home run there that would have been a walk-off or a game-tying home run. And then who the heck knows? Because the Cardinals were having a magical year themselves that year as well. 5, Dodgers-Cardinals, Game 1. 3-2, Cardinals win on a walk-off single by Danny Descalzo in 13 innings. 4th, Red Sox-Cardinals, Game 3 of the World Series. 5-4, St. Louis win on a walk-off error. This was just a crazy finish to this game. For those of you who may not remember this, in the bottom of the 9th, Brandon Workman was in, and he pitched the 8th inning. He gave out the single to Molina. Then Koji Uehara, who is an outstanding closer for the Red Sox, gives up a first pitch double to Alan Craig. Remember Alan Craig? He fell off the face of the earth. He doubled on the first pitch by Uehara. And then with 1 out, John Jay hit the grounder to Pedroia. And then he made the diving stab and threw it home to catcher Jared Saltalamacchia. That was another guy that was awesome for the Red Sox that year. He tags out Yadier Molina, and then Molina attempts to go for the double play to try to get Alan Craig out. He throws to third base, and Craig was running on the play. Saltalamacchia's throw goes wide, and then it pulls Will Middlebrooks. Remember him? He throws him off the bag, and then Middlebrooks tries to keep the ball on the infield, but it skipped the foul territory. And then Alan Craig slides in the third, and then he gets up and started running for home, and then made contact with Middlebrooks, who was lying face first on the dirt with his feet in the air. And then Alan Craig falls, and then gets back up and runs home. And then Saltalamacchia received the throw from the foul territory and applies the tag to the sliding Alan Craig. And then Jim Joyce, who I am not a fan of, I don't think he's a good umpire at all, called obstruction on the play. And then Dana DeMuth, who was the home plate umpire of that game, determined that Alan Craig would have scored without obstruction. And then the Cardinals wind up getting a very controversial win in that World Series. And that's where the Red Sox fans come in and say that the Colton Wong tag was karma because the Cardinals shouldn't have won Game 3 and that whole deal. So a lot of controversy in that series. Whether it was that play and then Colton Wong getting picked off of first base was another controversial play, or I should say move by Colton Wong in that moment, as we talked about a couple minutes ago. 3rd, Tigers-Yankees. This is a regular season game. Yankees win on a walk-off single by Brett Gardner. And I believe it was at the bottom of the 10th inning. This game will always be remembered for an absolute classic of an at-bat. It was Mariano Rivera against Miguel Cabrera. And it was like a 9 or 10 pitch at-bat. And then Cabrera hits the ball out of the ballpark to tie the game for the Tigers. And then the Yankees end up getting a walk-off and getting the win. And that game kind of resurrected their season in a weird way because they were out of it at the time. And they did make a couple trades to keep themselves relevant because I don't think that they wanted to miss the postseason. But then again, there's rumors that Brian Cashman wanted to sell, and then the ownership wouldn't let them. That all came out a couple years later when they actually did sell at the trade deadline in 2016. And then they get Alfonso Soriano. He resurrects their offense. A-Rod comes back, and he resurrects their offense as well. And then they were actually a pretty tough out in the month of August. And then in September, they were within one game of the wild card as they came darn close to sneaking in the postseason in 2013. But they had a couple injuries late in the season, and their slow start from the earlier in the season wound up coming back to bite them. But yeah, it was a classic regular season game. highlighted by a really good at-bat by Miguel Cabrera from Mariano Rivera. Second place, Red Sox-Rays, Game 3. It was a wild ALDS game, back and forth. The Rays won it on a walk-off home run by Jose Molina, the brother of Yadier Molina, obviously. And number 1, Tigers-Red Sox, Game 2, 6-5. Red Sox win, walk-off double by Jacoby Ellsbury in the bottom of the 9th. This game will always be remembered. I talked about it yesterday. This was on the same day as the Patriots pulling one out of their asses win with a bunch of nobodies against Drew Brees and the Saints. And Tom Brady wound up coming through for New England with a bunch of no-name receivers without Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski. And then later on that night was the ALCS Game 2 between the Tigers and the Red Sox. The Tigers had won Game 1, so the Tigers were up 1-0, and then the thought was, okay, yeah, the Tigers are just better than the Red Sox. This is where the Red Sox magic is going to end. Tigers are up 5-1, and then the bases are loaded for David Ortiz, and he hits a game-tying grand slam over the fence in right field at Fenway Park. Joe Buck had a classic call on that, and the Red Sox tie the game at 5, and then Jacoby Ellsbury wins it with the walk-off double, and the Red Sox tied the series at 1 apiece, and then they wound up winning that series in 6, and then they wound up going to the World Series and knocking off the Cardinals in 6 games as well. One more thing before we go. Breaking news from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Free agent guard J.R. Smith signs with the Lakers. This was bound to happen, especially after it was announced that Avery Bradley wasn't coming back for the Lakers, and then many people speculated right away that J.R. Smith was going to be the guy they're going to target for that spot. I don't mind the signing. There's going to be some people that don't like it because he doesn't play any defense and he's a lunatic. But this guy can score, and this guy can get hot. He's somebody that helped the Cavaliers win their championship. This is somebody who was a 6th Man of the Year for the Knicks in 2012-13. He helped the Nuggets in the 2008-9 season, or 2008-2009 season, go to the conference finals against the Lakers and Kobe Bryant. So this guy has some good history, and I think he'll help them off the bench or even in a starting role if they decide to go that way. But I think Smith should come off the bench, and their starting 5 should be LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Rajon Rondo, Danny Green, and JaVale McGee. That should be their starting 5. And then off the bench you have Dwight Howard, J.R. Smith, and some of their other role players that they got. Deion Waiters, I think, is there now. DeMarcus Cousins, unless they cut him. I think they actually did cut DeMarcus Cousins, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, that's what the Lakers should do. It should be Rondo, Danny Green, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and JaVale McGee as their starting 5, and then have J.R. Smith and Dwight Howard off the bench with Alex Caruso and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So J.R. Smith would fit right in with the Lakers unless they decide to go LeBron at point guard, J.R. Smith at the 2, Danny Green at the 3, and then Davis and McGee. And then have Rajon Rondo off the bench. But I like J.R. Smith off the bench a lot better. I think he thrives off the bench. Although he did start for the Cavaliers the year they won the championship. Their starting 5 was Kyrie Irving, J.R. Smith, LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a good starting 5. J.R. Smith did well as a starter with the Cavaliers. But I think that he should be coming off the bench with the Lakers. I always thought he thrived more as a bench guy rather than somebody in the starting five, although he's not a terrible starter by any stretch of the imagination. So I really think that J.R. Smith will help the Lakers in their quest to end their 10-year championship drought. And that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with my 2013 NBA top 10 players and games. I will do an update for the Rocket Mortgage Championship for golf. I'll go over the soccer games from today and look ahead to tomorrow. We'll go over tomorrow's KBO games and look ahead to Friday. And any other news that comes out in the world of sports, whether it's unrest-related or COVID-related or anything random or like a signing, I'll have it for you on the podcast. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.